I myself saw him almost every night drink 7,000 calories worth of alcohol.
Have you ever wondered what happened to the daughter of the most famous giant in wrestling history? What if I told you that Andre the Giant's daughter carries a legacy that's somehow even more powerful than her father's massive 520 pounds frame? Today, we're diving deep into the incredible story of Robin Christensen Rousimov, a woman who stands tall not because of her size, but because of her heart. When Andre the Giant passed away in 1993, the wrestling world mourned the loss of their beloved gentle giant. But hidden from a spotlight was a young girl who had barely known her famous father. Robin was just 14 years old when she lost the man who had become a legend to millions, yet remained almost a stranger to her. Little did anyone know that this quiet teenager would grow up to become the guardian of one of wrestling's greatest legacies. Let me paint you a picture of what it was like to be Andre the Giant's daughter. Imagine growing up knowing that your father was literally one of the most famous people on the planet, but you could count on your fingers the number of times you actually spent quality time together. That was Robin's reality. While kids at school bragged about their dads teaching them to ride bikes or throwing baseballs in the backyard, Robin's father was traveling over 300 days a year entertaining crowds around the world. The story begins in the early 1970s when a young woman named Jean Christensen was working for what we now know as WWE. She met Andre during this time, and their brief relationship would change both of their lives forever. When Jean discovered she was pregnant, Andre initially couldn't believe it. The giant of a man actually thought he was unable to have children because of his rare medical condition called acromegaly. Acromegaly is what made Andre grow to his incredible height of 7 feet and 4 inches. This condition causes the body to produce too much growth hormone, making bones and tissues grow continuously. For Andre, it was both a blessing and a curse. It gave him the size that made him famous, but it also caused him constant pain and would eventually take his life at just 46 years old. When Robin was born in 1979, Andre wasn't even sure she was really his daughter. Can you imagine that? This man who could lift grown men above his head was scared and confused about becoming a father. It took a court-ordered blood test in 1981 to prove what Jean had been saying all along. Robin was indeed Andre's child, and suddenly the eighth wonder of the world had to figure out how to be a dad. But being Andre the Giant's father wasn't like being any other dad. Picture this. Andre was so big that he had to use a pencil to dial phone numbers because his fingers wouldn't fit in the holes of rotary phones. He couldn't fit in airplane bathrooms and had to use a bucket instead. Regular cars were torture for him because his massive frame couldn't fit properly. Now, imagine trying to navigate fatherhood with all these challenges, plus being away from home almost every single day of the year. The court ordered Andre to pay between $750 and $1,000 a month in child support, which he did faithfully. But according to Robin's mother, Jean, it wasn't Andre himself who made things difficult. It was his management team who controlled his money and seemed to discourage him from getting too involved in personal relationships. They saw Andre as a money-making machine, not as a man who might want to be a father. The few times Andre tried to connect with Robin over the phone, the conversations would often turn into arguments between him and Jean. Andre wanted to spend time with his daughter, but he didn't want to deal with the tension with Robin's mother. Meanwhile, Robin was just a little kid who felt scared about visiting this giant man she barely knew without her mom being there. It was a heartbreaking situation for everyone involved. Jean made a decision that would shape Robin's entire childhood. She chose to raise her daughter away from the wrestling spotlight, believing that a normal childhood was more important than fame. Jean moved to the United States with Robin and kept her far away from the chaos of the wrestling world. This decision probably gave Robin a more stable upbringing, but it also meant that the distance between father and daughter grew even wider. Despite all the challenges, Andre never completely abandoned his responsibilities as a father. Robin later said that they always had a phone number to reach him, and he made sure she had what she needed financially. But phone calls and money can't replace hugs, bedtime stories, or just having your dad around when you need him. As Andre's health began to decline in the late 1980s and early 1990s, any chance for him and Robin to build a real relationship was slipping away. The acromegaly that had made him famous was slowly killing him. His joints couldn't support his massive weight anymore. He needed surgery on his knees and was in constant pain. By 1992, he had to retire from wrestling because his body simply couldn't handle it anymore. When Andre died in January 1993, Robin was still just a teenager trying to figure out her place in the world. Suddenly, she found herself thrust into the spotlight as the sole heir to one of the most famous names in entertainment history. She inherited not just money, but something much more valuable and complicated: the rights to her father's name and image, and the responsibility of protecting his legacy. This is where Robin's story becomes truly remarkable. Instead of trying to cash in on her father's fame or seeking attention for herself, she made a different choice. She decided to become the guardian of Andre's memory, making sure that people remembered him not just as a giant, but as a human being with feelings, struggles, and kindness. Think about this for a moment. Robin stands about 6 feet tall and weighs around 220 pounds. Compared to most people, she's quite tall, but standing next to her father, she would have looked almost small. Some people online have spread rumors that Robin somehow grew to be even bigger than Andre, but that's simply not true. Robin herself has had to set the record straight, explaining that while she shares some facial features with her father, she definitely didn't inherit his extraordinary size. Some wrestling fans were initially disappointed that Andre's daughter didn't become a giant like him. They had hoped for another spectacle, another person they could gawk at and be amazed by. But Robin proved that being bigger doesn't always mean being physically larger. Her impact on preserving and honoring her father's memory has been enormous in ways that matter much more than height or weight. After Andre's death, major toy companies, video game makers, and wrestling organizations all came knocking on Robin's door. They wanted to use Andre's image and name to make money. But Robin was careful and thoughtful about every decision. She didn't just say yes to anyone with a checkbook. Instead, she evaluated each opportunity to make sure it truly honored who her father was as a person, not just as a spectacle. One of the most beautiful things Robin did was start appearing at wrestling conventions and special events. But she wasn't there to promote herself or make money. She went to meet the fans who still loved her father and to learn more about the man she had barely known. Through their stories, she discovered sides of Andre she had never seen. Fans would tell her about how gentle and kind he was backstage, how he would take time to talk with children, and how he treated everyone with respect despite his fame. These interactions helped Robin heal some of her own wounds about their relationship. She realized that even though Andre hadn't been able to be the father she needed, he had touched the lives of countless people around the world. In a way, she was learning about her dad through the eyes of people who had met him just once, but never forgot the experience. Robin also became involved in special screenings of The Princess Bride, the classic movie where Andre played the character Fezzik. For many people, this movie showed a different side of Andre than they had seen in wrestling. In the film, he was gentle, loyal, and kind-hearted. Robin felt this role captured her father's true personality better than any wrestling match ever could. It showed the world the same gentleness that she had glimpsed during their few meetings. One of Robin's most meaningful contributions has been working as a consultant on documentaries and books about her father's life. She makes sure that these projects tell the truth about Andre, not just the myths and legends that have grown up around him. She wants people to understand that behind the larger-than-life persona was a real person who dealt with pain, loneliness, and the challenge of living in a world that wasn't built for someone his size. Robin established the Andre the Giant Memorial Scholarship Fund, which helps young people pursue careers in the performing arts. This scholarship represents something beautiful. Instead of just remembering Andre for his size and strength, it celebrates the entertainment and joy he brought to people's lives. The scholarship helps other young dreamers follow their passions, just like Andre did when he left his family's farm in France to become a wrestler. Through all of this work, Robin has shown incredible strength and wisdom. She could have easily become bitter about growing up without a father, or she could have tried to exploit his fame for her own benefit. Instead, she chose a path of service and remembrance. She became the bridge between Andre's public image as a wrestling giant and the private man who struggled with his condition and tried to find his place in the world. What makes Robin's story even more powerful is that she's remained largely out of the spotlight herself. She doesn't seek fame or attention. When she does make public appearances, it's always with purpose: to honor her father, to help his fans connect with his memory, or to support causes that matter to her. She's shown that sometimes the biggest impact comes not from being the loudest or most visible person in the room, but from working quietly and consistently towards something meaningful. Robin's relationship with wrestling fans has been particularly touching. Many of these fans grew up watching Andre and saw him as a hero. When they meet Robin, they're not just meeting a celebrity's daughter. They're meeting someone who represents their childhood memories and helps them feel connected to a simpler time when good guys and bad guys were clearly defined and a gentle giant could make everything seem okay. In managing her father's estate, Robin has had to make tough decisions about how Andre's image is used. She said no to projects that would have made her a lot of money but didn't respect her father's memory. She said yes to projects that might not have been the most profitable but helped tell Andre's story with honesty and dignity. This shows a maturity and integrity that's rare in our celebrity-obsessed culture. The truth about Robin Christensen Rousimov is that she has indeed grown to be bigger than her famous father, just not in the way anyone expected. While Andre was physically massive, Robin's impact on preserving his legacy and turning it into something positive for others has been enormous. She's taken a story that could have been just about spectacle and size and turned it into something deeper. A story about humanity, perseverance, and the power of choosing love over bitterness. Robin's work ensures that future generations will know Andre not just as the giant, but as a complex human being who faced extraordinary challenges with as much grace as he could manage. She's made sure that his story includes not just his victories in the wrestling ring, but his struggles with pain, his desire for normal relationships, and his gentle heart that was often hidden behind his intimidating exterior. What's truly remarkable is how Robin has handled the pressure of being the keeper of such a famous legacy. She could have cracked under the weight of expectation. She could have tried to become famous herself or completely rejected everything about her father's world. Instead, she found a middle path that honors both her own identity and her father's memory. In a world where many celebrity children struggle with addiction, seek attention at any cost, or completely reject their famous parents' legacy, Robin has charted a different course. She's shown that it's possible to acknowledge the pain of a difficult relationship while still choosing to honor and preserve the good that came from it. She's turned her father's legacy into a force for positive change through scholarships, careful stewardship of his image, and genuine connections with fans who still love him. The story of Robin Christensen Rousimov teaches us that being bigger than someone doesn't always mean being physically larger. Sometimes it means having a bigger heart, a bigger vision for how to help others, or a bigger commitment to doing what's right, even when it's not easy. Robin has proven that she is indeed bigger than Andre the Giant, not because she towers over people physically, but because she has chosen to use her unique position to lift others up. Her quiet strength, her dedication to truth, and her commitment to helping others pursue their dreams through the scholarship fund show us what real greatness looks like. It's not about being the strongest or the tallest. It's about choosing to use whatever gifts and opportunities you have to make the world a little bit better for someone else. So the next time someone asks whether Andre the Giant's daughter is even bigger than he was, you can confidently say yes. Robin Christensen Rousimov has grown into someone whose impact reaches far beyond what any physical measurement could capture. She's become a giant in all the ways that truly matter: in kindness, in integrity, in dedication to others, and in the quiet strength it takes to turn pain into purpose. If this story touched your heart like it touched mine, please take a moment to hit that like button and share this video with someone who might need to hear Robin's inspiring message. Her story reminds us all that we have the power to choose how we respond to life's challenges, and that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is quietly work to make things better for others. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories of courage, resilience, and the amazing ways ordinary people can create extraordinary change in the world. Thanks for watching, and remember, true greatness isn't measured in feet and inches, but in the size of our hearts and the impact we have on others.